past day or so, Donald Trump has been tweeting videos of individuals explaining how they witnessed serious impropriety, irregularities, or even outright fraud at various hearings held by Republicans. Trump, of course, has been tweeting quite a bit about voter fraud. Now, a lot of people were confused, angry, upset, or just let down when Bill Barr came out and it was reported that Bill Barr said there is no evidence of widespread voter fraud. But in fact, that is not what Bill Barr said. What he actually said was, to date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that would have changed the outcome of the election. And from that, Bill Barr is actually saying quite a few things. He's saying, to date, which means we're still investigating. He said to change the outcome of the election, meaning we've seen fraud. And in fact, Donald Trump tweeted out a video of several people who are apparently Biden supporters offering up a cash raffle in exchange for proof that you voted, which, well, according to some experts, it is absolutely illegal. And other people are saying, no, it's actually not illegal. But I think this actually falls into it's illegal category. You can't tell someone, if you vote, I will give you cash or the opportunity to receive a cash prize. That's effectively buying votes. And the reason it's illegal is because you can argue, well, I wasn't telling them who to vote for. It doesn't matter. You know why? Because people would target certain areas, districts, or communities, which is exactly what we're seeing right now. I believe it's entirely possible that Bill Barr is still looking. There's some anger from conservatives saying the DOJ needs to do a lot more. Trump is certainly saying it. I don't think Bill Barr's statement is anything other than the facts that he has. He's not saying there's no evidence. He's saying so far we haven't seen evidence that would change the outcome of the election. Well, allow me to present some of those who would contest that statement, because Bill Barr, you probably need to look at some more of the evidence, notably what's going on with Donald Trump and this tweet, which has 27,000 retweets. And I actually want to break down, you see, this story of people buying votes through illegal raffles or cash prizes, or even outright, tell us you voted, we'll give you cash. That actually happened. It happened in many different states, and many states where, well, they were key swing states that Trump needed to win. This could potentially be widespread fraud that could have changed the outcome of the election. I'm not saying it did. I'm just saying we need to look at this, and perhaps I can be a little bit optimistic based on what Bill Barr said. Maybe he will investigate this. I got to tell you, though, I'm sorry. I'm a bit of a pessimist on this one. I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm not entirely confident it's going to go anywhere where we figure out what happened and we see these people actually get in trouble or be charged for what looks like overt voter fraud. Well, let's start by taking a look at this tweet from Donald Trump and the story he tweeted from the Epoch Times. Before we do, however, make sure you subscribe to youtube.com/TimcastIRL. We do the show Monday through Friday live at 8 p.m. It's a different show from this one. I have guests on. We talk about the issues and different, political stuff. It's also on all the different podcast platforms. So check it out. But also don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit that like button, and let's read this. Let me play some audio real quick for you from this tweet so you know exactly what they're saying.
$25 gift cards to raffle off. So that's a lot of money cash here. We have also 4 $100 gift cards to give away. So again, you want to make sure you get out here to vote.
There it is. Make sure you get out here to vote. We've got a $100 gift card to give away. The tweet Trump is quoting is from the Epoch Times. They say, the Nevada Native Vote Project posted photos on Facebook on Election Day of smiling voters holding $25 gift cards after handing over their ballots. The posts have since been deleted, but not before they were archived. Now, I know a lot of people get tired of me pointing out NewsGuard, but Epoch Times is considered by NewsGuard to be red exclamation point, saying proceed with caution. They do not adhere to several basic journalistic standards, but they do say the Epoch Times does not repeatedly publish false content. And that's one of the most important things. But regardless of whether or not it's being, certified as a factual news outlet, I actually did the fact checking, and this story is completely legit. In fact, it was covered previously in part by Just the News. Nevada voting raffle targeting Native Americans opens door to Trump legal challenge. Group's site offered chance to win hundreds of dollars in gift cards to those who had proof they voted. Trump campaign argues it was an illegal incentive. I believe based on reading some of these stories already, that, it does seem to have been outright illegal, incentivizing with cash people to vote. The reason why, like I said, you can't do this. Imagine people would go to an area that's like in Philadelphia, Democrat plus 80. You want to swing a swing state? You go into an area where 80% of the people are Democrats, and you say, if you vote, I'll give you cash. And some of these states did just that. We're not talking about raffles. In one instance, according to the Epoch Times, they straight up said $20 if you send a picture of you having voted. That's it. Guaranteed cash in exchange for you voting. That's against the law as far as I can tell. Now, I can fact check a lot of what Epoch Times is saying. And I'll show you just the news. They did this report a couple weeks ago. But Epoch Times now is showing us it affected several states in the 2020 election. I'm not entirely convinced we're going to get a deep dive by the federal authorities. I'm sorry. Call me pessimistic. Call me jaded. When was the last time we saw, when you see all this evidence coming out, the feds actually go in and do something about it? When was the last time we actually saw one of these top level politicians who clearly broke the law get some kind of penalty in any capacity? I mean, Hillary Clinton, she had she effectively deleted 30,000 emails. They were public record. You can't legally do that. Nothing happens to any of these people. So forgive me if I'm a bit pessimistic. But here's the story. Epoch Times reports the Nevada Native Vote Project posted photos on Facebook on Election Day of smiling voters holding $25 gift cards after handing over their ballots. The posts have since been deleted, but not before they were archived. The removal may have had something to do with the U.S. Criminal Code, two distinct sections of which impose fines and prison sentences for, quote, whoever makes or offers to make an expenditure to any person either to vote or withhold his vote. And there it is. Not to vote for a certain person, literally just to vote. And let me show you. We got the archives. From archive.is, we can clearly see an image of a man. He appears to be smiling, but only with his eyes because he's wearing a mask. We can't see it. And he's holding up what appears to be a Visa gift card from the Nevada Native Vote Project. When you see them outright saying you can win gift cards, then posting a photo of them doing it, it would appear that they broke the law. And how many votes did they net by breaking the law, considering that Nevada's vote margin was very, very slim? Now, people will say there's no way they got 10 or 20,000 votes for Joe Biden. But think about this across the state. Epoch Times notes that this community is about 60,000 people, and they weren't giving everyone money. They were saying you could win money. Go vote. Go vote. They say offering gift cards for ballots wasn't the only way the Nevada Native Vote Project enticed people to vote. In a video that could be seen on Facebook on November 24th, Bethany Sam, the public relations officer for the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, urged people to come out and vote by offering some extra swag that we can give out. Quote, we have $25 gift cards to raffle off, so it's a lot of money in cash here, Sam said, adding that voters need only send a photo of themselves at the polling place to enter. We have also 4 $100 gift cards to give away. So again, you want to make sure you get out here and vote. And then we have 4 $250 gift cards to raffle. And our grand prize is going to be a $500 Visa gift card to the person or native voters who came out early this week for early voting. I'm going to stop right now and say it for the 50 billionth time. I am not saying this proves there is enough evidence to suggest Trump lost the election due to widespread fraud. I think there are reasons to criticize Bill Barr, but I think he's being honest when he says, to date, we have not seen evidence that would have changed the outcome of the election. That doesn't mean there's no fraud. It actually kind of implies there is fraud. And he says to date, meaning he's still investigating. But it's a fair assessment. I know a lot of people think he's going to come out and say, I saw all of this. It proves it. Listen, Bill Barr may have investigated this. They may have found, yep, people broke the law, refer it to prosecution, but it was how many votes? How many people went out to vote? Hard to know for sure. Can you say that this is hard evidence? It's hard to say. And Bill Barr seems to err on the side of I can't. Now, I know a lot of people really don't like Bill Barr as of late, but he did appoint John Durham as a special counsel, meaning Joe Biden can't fire him. I mean, you can try. If Joe Biden becomes president on January 20th, which I've said is overwhelmingly astronomically likely, 99.99% or whatever. That's how I feel. Trump may pull off something. I give him that chance. But if Joe Biden becomes president, he's not going to be able to get rid of Durham. That means the Russia origins probe will continue. And it's going to be a whole lot like Russiagate, just in the other direction. But This is Bill Barr doing something that I think actually is good. It's protecting the investigation, making sure it doesn't go away. So in this capacity, I don't know what else you do. If you don't trust Barr, if you don't trust any of these people, then who do you trust? Maybe Bill Barr is in on it. I don't know. I don't think so. I had a conversation with Ben Domenech the other day on the IRL podcast, and he was saying, he made a really good point, that without Bill Barr, Trump would not have been able to do anything in his first term because Bill Barr just shuttered the ridiculous Russia probe, essentially. And there was no evidence. It was a waste of time. And Barr did help out Trump in many ways. I just think Bill Barr's you can criticize him for a lot of the stuff in the past that, people rag on him over stuff. I don't want to bring it up. YouTube's going to get mad at me. But, defending law enforcement agents who probably did really, really horrifying things, to put it mildly. But Bill Barr, I think, is not going to come out and just blindly support Trump the way the left claims he is. It's just not going to happen. And this is evidence. Now they're saying, oh, look what Bill Barr said it. No. You don't get to rag on Bill Barr, claim he's lying, and now claim he's saying something he didn't even say. He didn't say there's no evidence and we're done. He says to date. So looking at all this, and let me go down because you've seen this. They mention endorsing the Biden-Harris ticket. These individuals were seen, the Indian colony had endorsed Biden and Harris. Quote, I think the Biden-Harris campaign is supporting tribal sovereignty. So look, this was basically Democrats and Biden supporters. Epoch Times says there's an estimated 60,000 registered Native American voters in Nevada. In a video filmed on Election Day, Sam encouraged them to vote because Nevada is a swing state. Quote, I also want you to know that we do have a raffle going on, whether you're early voting or you vote today during the election, Sam said, instructing people to enter the drawing by sending her a screenshot of their cast ballot from a ballot tracking website or a photo of themselves with an I voted sticker. Some people were straight up just given gift cards if they voted. It wasn't even a raffle. Epoch Times goes on to note many other states. Michigan. They say the Lac Vaux Desert Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Indians in Michigan offered $20 gas cards to anyone who sent pictures of themselves voting. The group also didn't immediately respond to a request sent to its Facebook page. Quote, at this time, no evidence of widespread illegal voting activity has been reported in Michigan. What does that mean, widespread? And why do they keep using it? If we've got people setting up across the country, is it widespread when you have Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, Washington, Idaho, Texas, Ohio, where they're all doing things like that? Is that not widespread? I have to wonder. Maybe you guys saw that Project Veritas put out these leaked CNN conversations. What you learn from listening to these private conversations is that most of these people are really, really dumb. Maybe the problem is that people like you and me, you all watching this video and people like me reading the news, we're paying attention and extremely active. Is Bill Barr? Maybe he's not. Maybe Bill Barr hasn't seen that all of this stuff affected all of these states. Or maybe he has. And maybe he says, listen, in all of these states, they maybe have gotten 100 to 200 votes, maybe 1,000 votes, but it wouldn't have changed the results. And that's a fair point, and it's entirely possible. But it does need to be brought up. It does need to be prosecuted. And I hope something ends up coming of this. So check this out. I mentioned in Michigan, they say in Arizona, Corazon, Arizona promoted a cash raffle for people who sent in a picture of themselves with their ballot. People, this is all you have to do to enter the raffle. Post a ballot selfie. Yeah. We get it. Washington, a video from Washington shows a native vote team in front of a Biden sign promoting a voter raffle for a $200 gift card and other prizes. In Idaho, the Nez Perce tribe of Idaho raffled off gift cards worth $50 to $500, a smart TV, an iPad for people who cast an absentee ballot, voted, or registered to vote. The tribe didn't immediately respond to an emailed request for comment. In Texas, the American Indians in Texas on Facebook raffled off gift cards worth up to $250 and a 58-inch television. In Ohio, Councilwoman Shayla Davis of Garfield Heights, Ohio, posted on Facebook offering $25 gas gift cards, T-shirts, and masks for people who come out to vote. Davis didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Now, some people might say the Epoch Times is biased. It's a bad source. Just the News is considered a good source. And I'm not trying to, as I often say, impugn the honor of Epoch Times. I'm just trying to point out this is easily verifiable. Just the News covered this story on November 20th. And I believe even before then it was updated on the 20th. Now, I'm not one to usually go back and pull up old stories, but the significance here is that Trump is tweeting this out and showing you people doing this. So when you hear people say there's no evidence, now the narrative is changing. Well, when they say there's no evidence, they're wrong, outright wrong. There's a video of a woman saying you can get cash if you vote. Okay, you can't do that, all right? As my understanding, it's illegal. But now the media narrative has been shifting. They're no longer saying without evidence. Now they're just saying baseless or unproven. Well, now it's not even unproven. Now, the claim that there is evidence of voter fraud is a fact. I mean, there's videos of it. We can talk about weird mathematical anomalies. We can talk about database lists. But we can show you a video where they're like, we will give you money if you vote. Well, there you go. Okay. I mean, not to mention, we already had evidence of ballot harvesting from Project Veritas. They all claim it's just fake news. Now it's videos of apparent voter fraud. To be as reasonable and fair as I can possibly be. Apparent voter fraud. People bragging about breaking the law. Or in this instance, this woman's clearly breaking the law. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a prosecutor. It looks to me like she's clearly breaking the law. Here's what Bill Barr said. Here's the news if you missed it. Attorney General Bill Barr says no evidence of widespread fraud in the 2020 election. But that's not the actual quote. To date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election, Barr told the AP. I got to stop. I'm seeing this. And I'm reading about these court cases Donald Trump is filing where they say, I see that you're challenging 3,000 ballots. That wouldn't change the results of the election anyway, so dismissed. I see stuff like that. I'm like, but hold on. If Trump's suing in a state where Biden's margin is like 10,000 or 20,000, and they've got 4 or 5 lawsuits targeting different suits, and they all get dismissed because individually they aren't enough. No. If we actually win on the merits, then these votes get thrown out. Trump wins after several lawsuits. That's the craziest thing to me. Bill Barr, in my opinion, should have said, we've seen fraud. We do not believe it would have affected the results of the election or cause a different outcome. We will absolutely be continuing our investigation and prosecuting. This is kind of I'll put it this way, a precise statement, but I also think you got to be more clear. It's precise in the sense that he chose his words carefully to avoid, getting dragged or something. But all he did was create vague. All it is ultimately, for most people, it's exactly what they want to hear. That's why I say precise. It's actually rather vague, but in terms of the words he chose, it serves a perfect function. To the left, he's saying, no fraud, case dismissed. And to everybody else, he's saying, we're still investigating and there is fraud. Okay. This doesn't help anybody. And I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to ruffle feathers and cause massive outrage or whatever. But what I fear is that because of these statements and things like this, we are not going to get an actual hard investigation into what's going on with these with our elections. I had a comment the other day on the IRL podcast, a super chat, user comments, and they said they're from Central America, they're from South America. And that if the U.S. doesn't do something now and this becomes acceptable, then the U.S. will never have a fair election again. And they said, take it from me. I live down in these countries, and I completely agree. Universal mail-in voting. No excuse mail-in voting. There's no chain of custody. You don't know where the ballots come from. They don't allow you to observe the ballots. All of this stuff cannot be accepted. And if it is, then it's normalized. When Trump sued in Pennsylvania and lost several times, went to appeal and loses, they said we weren't allowed to have observers watching the votes be counted. And the judge said, too bad. Pennsylvania election code says so long as there's an observer there and you were in the building, we're covered. But observers are supposed to actually observe the vote. There's a photo going viral of 2 people holding up a vote in Florida and pointing to a hanging Chad. And there's a question being brought up by many conservatives saying, what happened to this? This was how we observe the votes. Now judges are literally saying, so long as you're sleeping with a dunce cap in the corner of the room, that's observing the vote. No, it isn't. We cannot allow this. Then you got the lawsuit from Sean Parnell, which I believe is now going to the Supreme Court, where no excuse mail-in voting in Pennsylvania violates the Pennsylvania Constitution, but they're going to allow it. The PA Supreme Court said on narrow grounds, you were too late. Case dismissed with prejudice. You can't bring it back up. They can't sue again. So they're going to appeal to the Supreme Court. We'll see how that plays out. But that's insane to me. How can we see all of this evidence, whether it's enough to have changed the outcome of the election, and ignore it? Look, I say it a lot, to be fair. In Pennsylvania, they weren't allowing Trump's supporters, Republicans in Michigan, in many of these states where Biden needed to win, Republican observers were not allowed to actually observe the votes being counted. And now we're supposed to trust these things. It's really interesting. In the Michigan hearing, evidentiary hearing on fraud, one guy brought up all of this could have been solved if they just had Republican poll workers. That's it. Why not? It's ridiculous, isn't it? In one of the videos that Trump tweeted out following this one about the vote buying, a woman said that, I believe this was in Michigan, when she was watching them count votes, so there was one vote that was, they checked off both Biden and the Green Party. It's disqualified. You can't vote for both. And so what the poll, the tabulator said was, I'm going to give this to Biden. The witness said, I challenged this saying you can't do that. It's a disqualified vote. And the supervisor came in and said, get out of here. You can't do this. She said there were numerous instances where they'd be like, I can't tell who this vote is for, so I'm going to mark it down as Biden. And then it just was. Maybe Trump didn't win because people hate him. I can understand that. I talk to my friends. They don't know anything about this stuff. They hate cancel culture. They hate the wokeness, but they don't know what's going on. And they think Trump is causing it. I know. You might gasp. It's true. I'm not saying that 3 people I know represent everybody. I'm saying I know people who just really don't get it. I know people who don't know anything about politics and were like, Biden's the answer. I'm like, weren't you upset with politics a little while ago protesting? You're going to vote for the guy who created all those laws? They just don't get it. I can believe it. But what I'm saying is, instead of sitting here saying Trump won over and over again, which, look, by all means, you can say it if you want. The path towards an actual Trump, turnaround in this case is to say, here's evidence of fraud. Here's evidence of fraud. Here's evidence of fraud. There's a website. It's called, I forgot, it's a YouTube, like, they categorize YouTube channels, a transparency YouTube, that's what it's called. And they have one category about voter fraud, and they say supporting, opposing, and other. And you don't know what's really funny? All of my channels, they're in every category. Some, Timcast IRL supports Trump's claims. Timcast is other, doesn't support or oppose. And then, Timcast News opposes. It's the most ridiculous thing. They're trying to quantify it, but the issue is, there is fraud. There's always fraud. I think it's fair to say there's always some kind of fraud because it's a massive country with a lot of people. We have evidence of widespread fraud. We don't know if it changed the results of the election. Other is the best position to be in. You want to convince someone that we need to investigate the fraud and you're hoping it'll help Trump? Start from the beginning. Hey, take a look at this stuff from the Voter Integrity Project where they say they found all these names. Well, that's not enough to change the election. I didn't say that. I just said take a look at it and let's figure out what this is, right? No reason to deny that. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe Trump didn't win. Let's start with the evidence because the evidence will lead us where we need to be. And maybe Joe Biden won and maybe he didn't. But the best place is just follow the evidence. You believe in science, right? There's going to be many leftists who don't want to hear it, who won't believe it. Instead of going to them and saying, look, I've seen the Facebook fights. People are like, Trump won. You're just too stupid. You don't know. Or if only you read the evidence. A lot of anger. And then the Biden people are like, give up, you've lost, copium, you're coping, blah, blah, blah. My response to these people is often like, y'all are both on the same level. Take a look at this news story. How do you deny? Breaking news. Here's a video of a woman saying, I'll give you cash if you come and vote. And that was, that video was, you can win cash if you prove you voted. You've got the one where they're offering up the gift cards. You can't deny it. Oh, well, that wasn't enough fraud to change the election. So you admit there's fraud now. You see how you explain to people there's fraud? We got a video of it. What are they going to say? It never happened. Well, I guess, that's not really fraud. It's just, I don't know. No, it happened. It's been reported on by credible sources. And we've been tracking things like this. But let me show you where we're at right now. Chris Krebs, he's a guy who got fired. He says, the transition starts now. And as a reminder, still no evidence that election systems and votes were manipulated. All Americans should have confidence in the security of their vote. But the disinfo likely won't stop. Keep on the lookout and don't fall for it. We are Perseus. Oh, geez. Do you know what that reference is? It's because Sidney Powell said she was going to release the Kraken. And everybody said, release the Kraken. And anybody who knows anything about the mythology or has just watched the movie, have you seen, which one is it? Wrath of the Titans. And then what's the other one? I don't know. But basically in the movie and in the mythology, The Kraken is summoned, and Perseus uses the head of Medusa to defeat the Kraken. Okay, so we are Perseus. We're going to defeat the Kraken. Yeah. What is we are Perseus? Chris Krebs says, for the record, anyone who describes their side of any conflict as the Kraken clearly hasn't seen enough movies. The Kraken always loses. Comes off as scary at first, of course, but always loses. Yeah. Except, wasn't the Kraken also in Pirates of the Caribbean? The Kraken did kill Captain Jack Sparrow, so there's always that. Whatever that means. I don't know. Analogies. It's just so silly. Well, Matt Brainerd of the Voter Integrity Project said, Chris, do you have a minute? And then we see Jack Posobiec showing a stuntman with fire all around him. Yes. I get it. Matt Brainerd appeared on Lou Dobbs' Illegal Votes. Former real Donald Trump data strategist Matt Brainerd discovers thousands of illegally cast mail-in ballots and hands over evidence of electoral fraud to the FBI. In fact, Matt Brainerd is testifying as to the evidence he discovered. I am not saying it proves that Donald Trump actually won the election. I don't know. But the evidence exists, and we need to investigate. The biggest challenge we face right now is that following this election, we have what? A couple weeks to do a large-scale investigation of hundreds of millions of ballots, 150 million votes across all these different states with all these different agencies. It's not physically possible. So what do? I don't know. Perhaps we need a percentage failure rate that causes like a tripwire, a circuit breaker, where the election has to be contingent or go to the House delegates if a certain number of errors or anomalies are detected at a certain percentage. Not necessarily to say that I don't look. I'll put it this way. We're never going to have the FBI. They don't have the manpower to investigate every county, every precinct, every voting machine. It's not possible. It is absolutely not possible. I also personally don't believe there's a grand conspiracy. I don't. I think it's a standalone complex. What that means is a bunch of people acting in concert to help Joe Biden win and engaging in illegal activity or impropriety. You can call that widespread fraud. I believe it absolutely plays a role in this, but I'm not saying it changed the results. I just don't know. I have not seen any evidence. Isn't it funny that Bill Barr says this and it's all of a sudden everyone's screaming? But I could say the same thing. To date, I personally, Tim Pool, have not seen evidence of wide-scale voter fraud that would have changed the outcome of the election. However, I have seen tons of evidence of overt fraud that needs to be prosecuted. And starting from there, and with evidence like what we've seen from Matt Brainerd, we should absolutely be investigating because the possibility it happened, there's actually a strong possibility. Bill Barr hasn't seen the evidence yet because it's not possible for the FBI to do that investigation. But I'd like to present to you one tidbit that I find particularly interesting. Eric Cunningham on Twitter. Not entirely familiar. I saw some journalist. It's a App State alumni, founder of Elections Daily, says, looks like Trump had the best performance in New York City of any Republican since 2004. And if you disregard the 9/11 factor, 1992, and if you disregard 9/11, then it's 1992. And the most raw votes of any NYC Republican since 84. Okay, check this out. In 2020, Trump got 22% of the vote in New York City. Republicans got it. You go back to 2004, it was 24%, but of course, 9/11 played a huge role in this. Going back, 1992 would have been the only other time. In 1998, it was 32%, and 84 was the big landslide year, I believe. 88 was H.W. Bush. So you mean to tell me Trump dramatically improved his margins in New York City, the bluest of the blue? He got some of the best numbers we've seen in 16 years. Yet, in the key swing state cities, Trump's ratio was absurdly diminished. Okay, let me put it this way. Look at these big bumps where Joe Biden's getting 90 to 95% of these data dumps. You can see this graph showing that Trump and Biden are fairly equal. There's some jumps for Biden, some jumps for Trump. They're going up, but Trump is going up slightly faster than Joe Biden. You can see when there's a jump, it's usually even. Right here, there's a small jump for Biden, a small jump for Trump, but Trump is slowly trending upwards. Both Biden and Trump sort of even out as the counts are coming in. Then all of a sudden, for some reason, boom, one big data blast. And it's like 90+% for Joe Biden. But in New York City, bluest of the blue, a state that doesn't matter. It's not a swing state. It's going to go Democrat. Trump improved by 5 points over the previous election. Take a look at this. In 2016, Trump got 17%. In 2020, got 22%. You mean to tell me that Trump improved 5% in New York City, But where it mattered, in these big cities, in these swing states, it didn't happen. That to me is just odd. I'm not saying it's evidence of, of a widespread conspiracy or anything like that. I'm just saying it's a statistical anomaly that should be included in an investigation as we look into its probable cause. It makes me question how it is a man like Joe Biden, who didn't campaign, beat Barack Obama. Simple answer is people hate Trump that much. Politics became pop culture and people were voting against Trump. But man, I voted for Barack Obama. I voted for Barack Obama in 2008. And this time I voted for Trump for much the same reasons, ending the wars and all that stuff. Trump is one of the first presidents in like 150 years or something to gain votes and lose re-election. I think Trump might be the first president in history to have complete down ballot success, winning state level legislatures, winning House seats, and defending the upper chamber of Congress, but still losing. That's remarkable. It makes me question everything. But I'm not saying I know. I'm not saying I agree with Trump. I'm saying I would like to see an investigation. I'm not convinced we're going to get one. And that's the scary thing. Because now people are already questioning the Republicans, saying, if this is what we saw with was Ronna McDaniel. They said, if this is rigged, why bother voting in Georgia? Yes. Throwing it back to that comment from IRL where the guy said, if you accept this now, it will be here forever. I refuse to accept this. I'm not saying Trump won, but I'm saying we better have a hard and serious investigation. I think Donald Trump should appoint a special counsel to investigate the results of this election so that Joe Biden cannot fire this person, and they investigate for the next 2-3 years, however long it takes, and they can give us a definitive answer. And I absolutely would prefer if he comes out and says, no, there was not widespread fraud that shifted the results. Our elections are secure, you're safe. The American people had their voice heard. I would love to hear that. It would make me feel better about everything. Because the last thing I want to hear is them coming out and saying, we've proven it. The election was a scam. That would be a nightmare scenario. But it's irrelevant. All that needs to happen is special counsel, investigate the election, give it a couple years, spare no expense. We went through Russiagate. We can go through this and hard audit forensic analysis. We need secure elections and the confidence of the American people in knowing it's legit. I'll leave it there. The next segment, actually, yes, I'll tell you this. The next segment's going to be at 6 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. That's right. I'm no longer going to be doing the 6 p.m. segments on Timcast News. I have 3 channels. But also make sure to check out at 8 p.m. live, youtube.com/TimCastIRL, where we do the live podcast show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. I'm going to be focusing a lot more of my time on that show, putting more energy into segments into that so that I can free up more time during the day so I can actually grow the business beyond just me, hiring more people, doing more content, producing cultural content. So stick around. Thanks for hanging out. And I will see you all tonight at 8 p.m. live, youtube.com/TimCastIRL.